What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be recasing or what the fuck's the word? Case swapping this Legion PC, and I'm going to be putting it in that. And I'm going to be doing it step by step, so kind of step by step, so you guys can follow along and do this by yourself. So this is an OEM PC, but none of it's proprietary, so this will work. So without further ado, let's get started. So I know someone's gonna need to hear this, so unplug everything from the PC, and then if you need it, flip the power supply switch to off. Next, you are obviously going to want to take off this panel. If you haven't already, also take off the back panel. And you will also want a pretty clear working space, so I have quite large area on this desk, so I'm just gonna lay it on its side and we can get started. So now just unplug everything. So graphics card, gone. Literally everything. Anything that's plugged into the motherboard, unplug it. I'm also sorry to say that you can't really take the included Wi-Fi and Bluetooth from this PC and put it into the new case. Thank you for that. Because the antenna, they just go up into the top of the case and I can't find where they lead. So, but you are going to want to disconnect them, which I think there's like a little plastic piece, you just take that off, and yeah, they're pretty fragile, but it doesn't really matter if you're not going to use this case again. So yeah, you can leave this in if you want to. It's not really going to do anything, or you could take it out. And now, this part's pretty crucial. You want to unplug all of your RGB shit and make sure that all of it is routed to the front of the case, so when you actually take out the motherboard, because we're leaving mostly everything on the motherboard except for the card. So when you take that out, all the cables are there and you're not tugging on it. And now that all that's gone, what I'm going to do actually is remove the power supply, so all these extra cables, like, I don't know, this GPU 8 pin or this 24 pin, all that shit's out of the way of the motherboard so it doesn't grab onto it and pull it back down, which I've had that happen, so I'm just gonna remove this first so that doesn't happen, because it's kind of annoying. So to remove the power supply, there's screws on the back, so you just grab a Phillips head screwdriver. I would also recommend something like this, like holds medicine or something, if you have it, so you can put all the screws in it and not lose them, because that would suck. Just a recommendation. And there's also a little bracket down there that will hold the power supply in place. You don't need it, you can just unscrew it, take it out. It's not a necessity. You also need to take all these power supply cables, like the 24 pin, the 8 pin for the GPU, CPU 6 pin, or not CPU 8 pin, and route them to the back of the case. Like that, that one's gone. So yeah, get all those to the back of the case. There's also SATA devices that you'll need to unplug, like your hard drive, which actually has screws on it. You can just unscrew it and you can use it again. You also have to take the SATA out of the RGB hub. And if you actually have RGB fans that are like you added afterwards like I do, you'd have to take it out of that RGB fan hub too. So now that you have all these cables right here, you are going to want to obviously wiggle the power supply out of its little spot. Try to pull it out as much as you can, which in my case, about that much. And all these cables, let me try to get the zoom right. You just have to pull them through this little hole. Might have to push some of them through. It's pretty easy. And boom, there's your power supply. So now you really want to do the same with all the other cables up here, like USB 3. Also just route that to the back of the case so it doesn't get in the way of the board as you're trying to pull it out. So that one. Also, this RGB hub, we can reuse this. It just has screws. You can take the screws out, and if you had it, it would make a lot more sense to have like a double-sided sticky pad so you could stick it somewhere in the case, but I just ghetto screw it in to somewhere where it doesn't fit, and it works, so you could also do that. And now's a good time to probably take out the GPU, so it's relatively simple. There's a screw right here. Unscrew that. Pretty big. And this. So you basically pull it out and back. And you have to put quite a lot of force on it. And it'll be pretty loud, but you'll get it out. There you go. So now your GPU should be pretty loose. There's a little notch back there. You just press that, you hear that, and grab it. I'd recommend holding the case with the other hand, and there it is. There's your 1660 Super. And that leaves the motherboard. So these are the screws that you're going to need for installing the motherboard into the new case. I have a Musatex Mesh MATX case, so your mileage may vary. It might be different screws, but in my case, these are the ones that you need, and you can tell because the threads are pretty close together, or whatever the hell those things are called. Yeah. So, and they're also quite small. I'll flip it over. I have a bit of a curved back. So, yeah, and they come in a bag in the case box, so pretty easy to locate, and you can also do trial and error for the standoffs, and I also installed the standoffs already. So you're gonna need one there, so that's 3, up there, 4, there, 5, and right back there, 6. So let's get to unscrewing. There's one there, somewhere there, there in the corner. Another one in the corner, that one up there, and then another one right there. So I think it's like 8 or 9, and you'll definitely know when you have them all. And once again, if you're not using this case again, I don't really think the screws are too necessary, so. By this point, I would also recommend grounding yourself, and by that I mean just touching metal. So I have a bit of metal on my chair right here, so boom, grounded. And that will protect your PC parts, because I think to feel a shock, it requires a lot more electricity than it does to fry a PC part, so definitely would recommend that. You also need a spot to put the motherboard, and my recommendation would be a cardboard box. And now it is time to pull this bitch out, so grab the cooler, firmly grasp it, and we're already running into a bit of trouble. So just try to push out any cables, or push cables out of the way that might be blocking the path of the motherboard. So also there's these little tabs up here, you want to push those up. Those might also get in the way, and let's go. That's the smoothest that has ever gone for me, because I actually took the extra steps to remove the power supply first, which shows you that's pretty important. So yeah, and now we have a pretty empty looking Lenovo Legion case. Now you're going to want to stand the case up, and as you go around back, you will see this. So this is the SATA and for the motherboard and the power supply hot swap for the hard drive. So there's 2 screws. I could only find one, so I just put one in there. Actually, the other one's right there. I could only find 2. So unscrew this, and you can reuse the SATA drive ones, but I'm pretty sure you can just use a SATA directly from the power supply for the actual power supply ones. So yeah. And now that you have this out, you also need a pretty small screwdriver, so it's like a Phillips head, but just a lot smaller. Now that you have this out, you can use this in the new case. It doesn't matter that it's not screwed in. It's just for extra rigidity. And now we are just about ready to get the new case, well, get everything into the new case. So I think one of the last things, if not the last thing, is this RGB hub, which, let me grab my screwdriver, has a screw at the top left, and it should have one down there too, but I just didn't put it back in because I didn't care. So just take those out, and you're pretty much ready. Now that you have this out, just, I don't know, put it somewhere. Just gonna put it right there, doesn't really matter too much. And also you take out the power supply by just, well, not the power supply, the hard drive by just pulling on this. And now that you got that out, this is a pretty much empty case. I'm actually gonna take this fan out, but you guys don't really need to see that. It's just 4 screws at the back. It's not that hard. And yeah, that's also for the cooler, but I won't use it in the testing for thermals. So we have our 1 terabyte Seagate drive. Actually, one more thing. We need this Legion icon. I don't know why, but Legion software refuses to update RGB if that's not in the system plugged in somewhere. So by doing that, we just take off the front panel with these tabs. So, And taking this out, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just fuck around with it for a second. There it is. And now we are ready to move to the big boy case. Or this case is actually shorter, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, let's crack her open and start with putting the motherboard in. I'll put the tempered glass side panel over there. Let's go. I'm gonna put the hard drive in first so there's no cable mess and I can actually get it in. So obviously I wanna make sure the connectors are facing outward so you can actually plug them in. And take the drive and just, yeah, that works. It just slides in there. It's a little crooked, but I think it's fine. I've used it like that for a little while now. And now you take this little contraption and it goes this way. And you can just plug it in. So do that. And now you're gonna wanna put the case on the side. And also we're not gonna be able to use the IO shield because it I can't get it to fit in there for the life of me. I also flipped this fan around so it's intaking and going right into the, right until where the CPU cooler would be. Because before it was just getting rid of air for some reason. So yeah, now it's an intake. Now we're going to put the motherboard in. So we need your 6 screws. But first of all is actually getting the motherboard in there and aligned. So let me just make sure all of these are the correct. There we go. So the one there, there's one up in that corner. There's also another one right there, so 7 screws. Although that one doesn't really matter, it's really hard to get to, so who cares? 6 screws. One in that corner, one in that corner. Not one down there, so no. But there is one next to the other one, so yes. Those 3, yes. That one, yep. Alright, 6 screws. Let's slot this bitch in. Alright. You probably won't be able to see this very well, but I need both hands, so sorry about that. Get it around the phone. The cables are out of place. I just have to align it with all the standoffs. So, and now that the standoffs are aligned, I can actually start screwing the board in. So wish me luck here, because I gotta get this first one into that one. So I'm gonna do that off camera, because I'm gonna need a flashlight. So I got the 2 at the top in. Correction, we actually only need 5 screws because the standoff right here is too high. And just a quick note, if any of the standoffs are too far off, then it is making contact with the board, so you'll need to take it out. But if the standoff is in the correct position and can be screwed in, then it'd be fine. Just saying, we only need 5 screws now. And the last one. Boom. It's in there. And I think this is a good time to do our RGB thing, so grab your RGB hub, and you need to put it somewhere, like right here on the case, so it's near the motherboard, as the cable that connects it to the motherboard isn't that long. So about right there. Also get your double-sided tape and stick it to the back of this, into there, or a screw if you want to do it that way, because there's a screw hole there, and one right there, so. What you could also do is plug in this cable to this board and then plug it into the motherboard so it just kind of holds this up, because I don't actually have any double-sided tape right now, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. And now you can plug all your RGB shit in. You also have to daisy chain a bunch of it, so yeah. Once you got all that plugged in, you can just kind of group all these cables in, shove it behind here. You can also put your power supply in, so get everything out of the way. And take your power supply. Quite heavy. And slot it in place. This is a fan down case, so this fan is going to be facing down. And yeah. And once you got that lined up, you can screw these in. And now you want to route the USB 3 and the connector that has all the smaller ones at the end up to this area of the case through that hole. and grab your 24 pin, if I can unbury it from all these. And to also try to get it up there. Just like this. Maybe take it under and through there. Slide that through. And yeah, you can do some cable management if you want to. That's kind of hard to show. And now you want to plug in the 24 pin, so you plug that in there. And then there's USB 3, which is right there, which you plug in right below the 24 pin. And don't worry about the smaller ones right now. We'll do that at the end because they come out really easily. So we also have HD audio, which doesn't really matter too much, but you can plug it in if you wanted to. So you just route it around there. And there's a hole right there. Push it up through there. And plug it in right down there. Make sure the pins are lined up. Now you want to take your CPU cable and route it along the bottom of the case, like along there, and then up, and eventually through there. So there's our CPU cable. You just want to pull it through, and then curl it over so the little notches are at the top. And then line them up. And there you go, they're in. And then you can pull it back a little more, so it's as hidden as possible. And now we're plugging in SATAs. So I have 3 SATAs, but for some reason I plugged in both of them. So I have 6 SATAs available, but I only need 3. So we have a SATA going up to the RGB hub, a SATA from the well, not the power supply, the hard drive right there, and then SATA from that RGB hub, which kind of like takes the place of the up here ones. So plug all those in. I think that SATA would be right there, that one. There's another SATA coming from the hard drive. You take that and you plug it into one of those little things on the motherboard. So I don't know if I can do this while looking through the camera. There, that's in. And we are so almost done with this whole thing. So grab your screwdriver, and we are installing the graphics card now. So you see this? Right there, that's for the vertical mount. We can't use the vertical mount, sadly, so we also need access to this. Take that screw out. Take this out. And we need to remove 2 of these slots. Which 2? Those ones, that and that one. And now we take our GPU. Let's make sure that this is unclipped right there. Yep, all good. And line up the golden pins with the little connector on the board. Once that's all lined up, make sure that that is lined up. You see the screw holes. And then you have to hold on to the case. Push. Until you hear the click. Which we got the click. And it's in. So now we have to screw it in right there. Which I have to do in portrait mode. I'm sorry about that. Deal with it. And you screw that in too. So it takes a screw and just put it in. It's that easy. And I think we're on the final 2 steps, which one of them is taking your graphics card cable, your PCI 8 pin, as the professionals would call it. Taking this little piece of shit. There's a hole down there somewhere. It's right about there, if you can see it. And just try your best to get it through there to make it look as good as possible. And now that we have this cable, we can take it, push these 2 together, and align this, and insert. And that's plugged in. So now you just want to push that back down there to look like that. And we are very much almost done. You need to plug this in to the motherboard and then just hide it somewhere in the power supply basement. So I'm going to plug it in and put it down there, and then I'll have RGB control. So yeah, sorry. Now is the most annoying part, is the power switch. Can you see that? Power switch. So I'm gonna take the dust filter off so it's easier to see. I'm gonna put you guys right there. Actually, I'll show you the pins. So the pins that you want to connect it to are right above this thing. So I put you right there. It's the best view I can give you. Sorry. Oh, right there. And you want to plug in the power switch one. Let me try to get more cable out of this. There we go. So it's going to be upside down. So if you can see that, the power is going to be facing like that. Like the little label. Just plug that in like that. And just like that, with my hopes high, I think we are done. Get everything out of the way. Let's plug her in. Flip on the power supply. And there you go. Beautiful, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been case swapping a Lenovo Legion. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. If you guys have questions, please do ask them in the comments. I am willing to answer, because I know the feeling of not knowing what to do when you think you fucked something up. So definitely, if you have any questions, you can ask them. I will most likely respond. Hoping this video won't get too big and I can't respond to all of them, but I'm pretty sure I can. So thank you guys for watching. Please do subscribe. That would make my day. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.